Now that we're done with first two sections over here, you can see that we have a banner, right, the header, and then we have services section, right? So the next thing that I would want to show you is actually two things related to a brackets extensions, right? And the first one would be if we go over here to a brackets manager, right? Extension manager, we have again available, themes, and installed, right? And if we go to installed, you can see that I actually installed a Autosave Files on Windows Blur, right? And what this extension does is pretty much what it says, that we're going to be able to autosave pretty much very easily, right? And it's very good if we have a long file that we don't need to, let's say, remember all the time to save it, right? And the only thing what we need to do is once we install this extension, we go over here, enable autosave on Windows Blur. And the moment we type anything and we just click it away, right, on this live preview, you can see that it's saved over here in the bottom, right? So it's much more easier to us work with some type of autosave extension. Now, you don't need to download this specific one if you don't like it. You can choose any other one, but I would strongly suggest whatever, even if you're not working with brackets editor, right, to actually use some type of extension, right, because it's going to make your life much more easier if you don't need to worry about when you're working with large files. Now, another thing that I would want to show you is that how we can actually use this bracket snippets in our advantage, right? This bracket snippets. Remember that with this bracket snippets, we actually created over here this lorem dummy text, right? And you can see over here, I've created already this generic section, which is about to show you. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm just going to actually delete it so we can start from brand new. And over here, what's going to happen is that, let's say that we want to create our next section, right? And pretty much for all our sections from now on, we're going to have to keep repeating some steps, and I just want to show you how we can save time by using this bracket snippet. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to create, let's say that this is going to be the name, right, of our section, right? This is going to be our comment, right, section over here. Now, after that, we're going to add a comment. This is going to be end of, let's say, name of our, right, of our section, right? Section over here, end of name of our section, right? So end of promise section or something like that, right? Now, after that, what we need to do is we're obviously going to create a section, right? And we're going to say the ID, right? But since this is going to be changing for now, I'm just going to leave it blank. But let's say in this case, this would be the promise section, right? Where we're going to be creating. Then after that, what we're going to need to do is we're going to create a div, and we're going to give it a class of container, right? Or container fluid. So I'm just going to write container over here. Then after that, we're going to create a div that is going to be a class, right? And over here, we're going to write a row, right? Because we're going to be creating some type of row. And over here, we're going to create a div with the class of column. Now, I don't know whether this is going to be 2 columns or 1 column. So for now on, I'm just going to leave this, let's say this star, right? Because I don't know whether it's going to be medium or small or large, right? And here I'm going to write 2 stars for the size too. I don't know whether it's going to be column 4 or column 6, right? And after that, if you remember that I was telling you that we're going to be all the time using this this header, right? So once I find where is my header with this services, right? Or here this header, right? Remember when we had this end of header, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this one over here. And we're going to paste it in my first column, right? Because if I want other column, I can obviously do that. But in one of the columns, or in general, there's going to be over here this div. There's actually my header, right? So over here, I'm just going to write a generic header over here like this, right? And then it's really going to depend where we're going to be placing this header. But just for now, we actually have this over here. And what's going to happen is that for all our sections pretty much is going to be repeating, right? So over here we have this, like, let's say column, right? That's going to have a header. And if you're looking at this code, it's going to keep on repeating all the time. And why I'm showing you all this, that if we go over here, and I'm just going to copy this one over here, and if we go to bracket snippets, all right, you can see that we have an option of actually creating new snippet, right? So we click over here to new, and we're just going to paste this. We're just going to Command V, and you can see that I actually copied over here my, let's say, generic section, right? And over here, this is what I'm going to say. This is going to be generic. And over here, I'm just going to use the underline section over here. And over here, we're going to write a description. It's going to be Bootstrap generic section, right? And scope, we would need to write a HTML over here. Now you can see that we have save, and create, right? So we just write save and create. And maybe we should just save, right? Because now it's asking us for another one. I actually don't want to do it, so we can just cancel it. And now what's going to happen if we close it over here? And let's say that I'm going to delete this. And if I just start typing generic, you can see that it's right away gives us generic section. So we just press tab, and right away what happens is that we have our generic section, right? So we can right away start actually writing that this is going to be our promise section, right? Overall, this snippet and this extension, however you would want to set it up, is actually going to make your life much more easier, because again, if we're looking at all this code, right, we can just save it and trigger it with one name, right? And this will going to make our life much more easier.